This is not a desk setup, this is a cable crime scene. We have the monitor cables, the charger, the 10G Ethernet adapter, the card reader, the external SSD, the USB hub, the other USB hub because the first USB hub somehow did not have enough USBs. And then we have this. This is the Sonnet Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SuperDock, and it's trying to do something very ambitious. It wants to turn your Mac Mini, Mac Studio or MacBook into a full desktop workstation with just a single cable. But the most interesting part is not just the ports. This dock hides inside an SSD. So, today we are answering 3 questions. Is Thunderbolt 5 actually useful here? Is the internal SSD slot a gimmick or a genius move? Is internally all the bandwidth shared, or you can really max out the 10G Ethernet while still having the maximum SSD speed at the same time? Let's find out. Most dock reviews starts with the unboxing. We are not doing that, don't worry. Because the real question is not whether the box is recyclable or whether the cable feels premium. The real question is this. Can the Sonnet Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SuperDock replace all the mess on your desk? Because if a dock is just a few more USB ports, that's boring. But if a dock can handle all your monitors, your fast storage, your fast network, your card reader, your audio, your charging, and your random USB devices without turning into a bandwidth traffic jam, then we have something worth talking about. And that's exactly the promise of the Sonnet Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SuperDock. Let's start with the feature that makes this dock so unique. It can become part of your storage workflow. So imagine this setup. You come home with a laptop full of footage, you plug in single Thunderbolt cable, and instantly your monitors wake up, your Ethernet connects, your keyboard and mouse are ready, your SD card reader is there, and your super fast 8TB project SSD drive inside the dock is ready to be editing your new video. Let me show you now how easy it is to install the SSD inside. It supports up to 8TB of NVMe storage with speeds up to 3300 MB per second. For video editors, photographers, 3D artists, developers or anyone moving huge files, this is the feature that makes the Sonnet Echo 21 more than just yet another premium dock. Now let's talk about Thunderbolt 5 without making everyone fall asleep. Thunderbolt 4 was already fast. For most people it was far enough. But the problem with docks is not 1 or 2 devices. The problem is everything connected at once. You might have a display, a second display, a fast external SSD, Ethernet, a card reader, a 4K webcam, a microphone, a keyboard and mouse, and a few USB devices are trying to move data through one single connection. That is where Thunderbolt 5 starts to make sense. A cheap USB-C hub or dock is like putting 5 espresso machines on one extension cord and hoping nothing smells weird. The Thunderbolt 5 is the dedicated power line. You know what? Enough talking. Let me show you now, live on camera, extreme stress test of the Sonnet Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SuperDock. Let's see in real life what it can handle and how fast. So, I have 2 60Hz displays connected, NVMe SSD inside, 10G Ethernet connected to one of my file servers, USB for webcam up here is also connected, and USB mouse and additional external SSD is also here connected. We need to set the baseline now, so now I will test each individual part individually and later I will show you everything at once, and let's see if some part of it will slow down due to some activity on the other component, okay? So as you saw, I installed the WD Black 2TB drive inside. And let's see how fast or slow it is. So read speed 3.26 GB per second and write speed 3.02 GB per second. So that's the disk itself. Now let's have a look at the 10G Ethernet. For testing the network speed, I will use my trusty AIJA System Lite application. So let's point it to the PRD drive, which is the network share on my file server through SMB. And let's see how fast or slow it is. So theoretical maximum of the 10G Ethernet is 1250 megabytes per second. So we should see now roughly numbers around 1200. So we are maxing out the 10G connection now. But don't forget, the dock is at this moment not doing anything else. So let's see later. Yeah, so fair enough, we are completely maxing out the 10G connection. But wait, I was not completely honest, because if you will look here, I'm running at the same time screen recording of this screen in 4K 60 FPS, as well as feed from my 4K webcam, which is here. And it's storing it onto this externally connected SSD. And guess where the connection goes? Ha! Again, to the same dock. So single cable and everything is connected. So when I showed you these numbers, it was already with the 4K webcam running. So let's see how fast or slow the network will be or the disk will be when I will run those at the same time concurrently. So I will start the disk speed test first, because it's now opening stream, so it's preparing the stress test, and once it's ready, I will also start this one. I will flip it to running continuously, so I don't have to click start all the time. It's gonna run constantly in a loop. Okay, so speed test of the SSD, 3.27 gigabytes per second. So we are getting same numbers, and guess what? And I will run it again. We are getting still the same speed on the network. Mind-blowing. Again, read speed over 1200. We are fully saturating 10G Ethernet, and we are fully max out also the SSD inside. Do you get it? Single cable. That's insane. How did Sonnet do this? I have no idea, but it's mind-blowing. And don't forget, at the same time, I am running now the 4K 30 FPS recording from my webcam here. All at the same time. No slowdowns. Everything is running at maximum. That's crazy. Now we can talk about the ports. The 21 in the name of the dock refers to the number of ports or connections, if you want. On the front, this is where the Sonnet puts the stuff you actually touch during the day. Audio, USB-A and C ports, 15 watts USB-C charging port, SD and micro SD card readers. That matters because a dock can have the greatest specs in the world, but if the SD card slot is buried behind your monitor next to the power brick, you are going to hate it by Wednesday. For creators, the front-facing SD and micro SD slots are huge. Shoot, come back to the desk, card goes in, footage goes straight to the internal SSD of your main machine. Around the back is the more permanent desk setup. Thunderbolt 5 140 watts charging port and additional 2 Thunderbolt 5 peripheral ports. DisplayPort and HDMI display outputs. 10G Ethernet, yes, as I said, full 10G. More USB-A and USB-C ports, and line out and microphone ports. This dock has serious display capability, but your Mac or PC decides how much of that capability you actually get. The Sonnet Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SuperDock supports up to 4 4K, 5K or 6K displays, or 2 8K displays. But the number of displays you can actually run depends on your computer. This is especially important for Mac users. Your computer decides how much of that capability you actually get. Some base Apple Silicon Macs support fewer external displays than the Pro, Max or newer models. For example, my old MacBook Air, which is the MacBook Air M2, supports only a single external display. I linked for you the Sonnet's compatibility information in this video description, so I strongly recommend check it out first. I've heard from quite a few folks who run into trouble when their Mac is asleep. When they wake it up, not all their external devices or docks seems to reconnect. I am curious to see how the Sonnet Echo 21 manages exactly that. So, let's put my Mac to sleep. Bang. So, let's wait for the displays to go completely off. By the way, do you remember in the past, all Macs have the glowing LED diode in the front? When the Mac was sleeping, it was like pulsing, like... I have no idea why Apple removed this amazing feature. Apple, please, get it back. Okay, power saving, so looks like it's sleeping. But you know, Let's wait a few more seconds to be completely sure. Okay, and let's wake it up. So display number 1. Second display always takes much longer. Okay, it didn't take so long. And hey, we have still the WD black drive over there. We have still our network shares. Hey, that's great. It works like a charm. Music producers will love the high-res audio output for high-quality lossless audio connected directly to studio-powered speakers. This is often overlooked, but this is in fact absolutely amazing. You know, I'm a musician, right? This isn't the smallest dock. It's not the most adorable one either. But hey, it's the I've got work to do dock. It's super sturdy, crafted from anodized extruded aluminum alloy, which also helps keep things cool. And speaking of cool, yes, it can get warm. Not now, but not scorching hot. It has a built-in fan, which some might be a bit concerned about. But after doing a lot of testing, especially when the Sonnet Echo 21 was just a maybe meter away, I never heard it at all. And by the way, let's check the stress test again and let's have a look at the temperature of the internal disk. Are you kidding me? The internal SSD is now at 40 degrees of Celsius. And the maximum when we were stressing it a few minutes ago, it reached 45. And the ambient temperature here at this moment is around 25 C, so it's quite a hot working environment. So that's how amazing this cooling system in the Echo 21 is. Now let's talk about the catches, because there are few. No. I would not call it catches. It's the best dock on the market. I just want you to be aware of few things. First is the price. This is at the moment around $499 dock before you add your own SSD. That's not impulse buy money. That's I have a real workflow problem solution. On the other hand, when you have an NVMe SSD, you would still need to buy some external enclosure for it, and Thunderbolt 5 SSD enclosures are not a cheap thing either. Having the SSD built in is great for safe, reliable production use, unlike external storage connected via USB cables or dongles. Second, the SSD is user installed. I actually like that, and I think it's benefit, because you can choose the drive and the capacity you want. But it also means the real price of the setup can climb quickly. But because it's user installed, that means it's also user upgradable or replaceable. That's a huge win for me. Third, while the main USB-C connection can charge your laptop with up to 100 to 40 watts, the USB charging on the downstream USB-C ports is not huge. Some ports provide up to 15 watts, which is fine for many accessories, but this is not the dock you buy because you want to fast charge every device on your desk from every port. Fourth, this is not really a travel dock. The dock plus power adapter weighs 2.9 pounds or 1.3 kilograms. So think about it if you plan to toss it into a backpack every day. And fifth, the Thunderbolt itself. It's the most modern and safest connection. And to really take full advantage of the Sonnet Echo 21, then you really need Thunderbolt 5 Mac or PC. So if you have some recent Apple Silicon Mac, then you are good. But those of you with other computers, of course it will work even with all the Thunderbolt 4 or Thunderbolt 3 computers, but with some limitations. But at the same time, that's great news too. If you grab the Echo 21 now for your older computer, you are setting yourself up for many years to come. And the last point is my personal wish. Sonnet, please, I'd like you to make a dock with built-in CF Express card reader too. Oh man, that would be great. So, how does the Echo 21 compare? What about the Echo 21 Sonnet's own predecessor of the Echo 20 Thunderbolt 4 SuperDock? It has also M.2 SSD slot, but because of the overall bandwidth limitations of the Thunderbolt 4, you get only 2.5G Ethernet. But on the other hand, it costs only $299. And what about to compare the Sonnet Echo 21 with other premium Thunderbolt 5 docks, like from Ivanki or CalDigit? The flagship CalDigit TS5 Plus on paper has almost same features, with just one small catch. It has no internal M.2 SSD slot at all. The Ivanki's flagship, the Fusion Dock Ultra, also looks impressive, but again has no SSD and is even $150 more expensive. Oh, wait, but what if you don't want the internal SSD for whatever strange reason? Isn't the CalDigit TS5 Plus better option then? I am sorry to disappoint those who swear on CalDigit, but the TS5 Plus with no built-in SSD option costs same $499 as the Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SSD dock. So why to pay the same price for a dock which lacks the main feature? That's no-brainer for me. Yeah, but glad you asked. That's in fact a great question, because I've got for you one more option. This whole video is about the Sonnet Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SuperDock. But did you know it has its own brother? There is also Sonnet Echo 20 Thunderbolt 5 Secure Dock. I know, long names are crazy and almost the same. So both are Thunderbolt 5. Difference in names is just Echo 21 versus Echo 20 and SuperDock versus Secure Dock. What's the difference then? The Echo 20 is absolutely the same as the Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SuperDock, just without the internal SSD slot. This makes it an ideal solution for corporate, government, education and other managed IT environments where integrated storage devices may be restricted by policy. And guess what? It's cheapest of all of those flagship docks, just $449. So overall, the $499 Sonnet Echo 21 Thunderbolt 5 SuperDock really offers an incredible good deal here. 3 120GB Thunderbolt 5 ports, integrated M.2 NVMe SSD socket for up to 8TB of fast SSD, data transfer speeds up to 3.3GB per second, 10GB Ethernet, 5 10GB per second USB-C charging ports, 4 10GB per second USB-A ports, HDMI and DisplayPort video outputs, high-res lossless audio outputs, up to 140 watts power delivery laptop charging. But what's the most important, as you saw earlier in my really insane stress test, all of the connections and ports did not slow down at all when I was stressing it at the same time. That's a huge win for me. What do you need more? Using just a single cable. Look, that's the power cord, that's the Thunderbolt cable. That's insane. That's no compromise Thunderbolt 5 dock, which will future-proof you for years to come. To get the best price, use the link in video description and enjoy it the same way as I do. I'm Teresa from MORGONAUT.com and I specialize on one-on-one coaching and remote help to individuals as well as audio and video production houses all around the globe. So if you would need any help with your Apple Mac, Windows, Linux servers, DaVinci Resolve and more, then you can in few clicks schedule a Zoom video meeting with me and a remote session to your computer so I can help you right in front of your eyes. Link is in this video description. And if you are into great Mac stuff, then you will love this video here. See you by the next one. Bye bye, take care.